I am Dhanauri Wetlands, good enough to be designated a Sarus Sanctuary and a Ramsar site. I have existed in my pristine condition since times immemorial. Every winter day you can find me in my surreal and most attractive state. As soon as the fog of the day lifts and the sun rays shine and come forward, I am vibrant with the sweet calls of Sarus Cranes and thousands of other birds. The world was ignorant of my charming beauty, birds, rich fauna and flora. Only the residents of surrounding villages enjoyed the beauty. Completely oblivious, I was destined to be destroyed and converted into a residential colony. Over 50,000 migratory and resident birds, along with flora and fauna, would have lost their home and shelter. On the fine morning of 1st June 2014, walked in Anand Arya along with 5 of his birder friends searching for Sarus Cranes and other wetlands. Little did I know that Arya would be my benefactor and protector. For Arya, having just lost my sister wetland, Dhanauri Wetlands, it was what is termed as love at first sight and everything that follows. Knowing the love intimately, vowing to love and protect, and he has done exactly that. Retiring from active service in 2002, he has indulged in twin passions of watching birds and photo and videographing birds, wildlife and nature. This is my story in Arya's voice.
Why is it so important that Dhanauri Wetlands must be put on a cellulite and the message spread about it?
Let me answer. Because Dhanauri is a representative wetland and meets the criteria to be declared as a Ramsar site and a Sarus Sanctuary. Dhanauri is an important birding area with 216 species recorded so far during the last 5 years. Of these 216 species, 18 are either vulnerable or near threatened or endangered. A wetland by definition, as enunciated under the law by the Government of India, by the Ramsar Convention and the International Union for Conservation of Nature, is an area underwater, under marsh, a peatland, man-made or natural. The examples are the estuaries, the mangroves, the lakes, the oxbow lakes, the tanks, and any such area that has water standing over it or flowing. Apart from their natural beauty of flora and fauna, the wetlands are extremely important for the water security of any country and in particular of India. For example, with only 2% of the global fresh water available to India for a 15% share of population, then this becomes a lot more important. The wetlands serve a very, very important function of recharging the groundwater. 90% of the population in India is dependent on the water extracted from the ground for drinking purposes.
Wetlands have an enormous use in providing good quality water. So the idea is to conserve and use. That is our principle on which we work on non-invasive solutions for the planet. Because not only can you conserve it, and you have to conserve it, to use it. So if the use provides natural mineral drinking water for a large population of a town, then those wetlands become immensely useful to human beings and have a very high, not just a natural value, but a very high economic value and a very high human health value. So what we need to emphasize is that we can conserve them and use them, or we can use them as long as we conserve them. Otherwise, all gone.
85% of the agriculture, where there are no other irrigation facilities available, is also dependent on groundwater. And it has a tremendous amount of economic value. For example, 1 hectare of wetland gives us approximately 3 to 5 million liters of water every year. And imagine, with 15.2 million hectares of this country being under wetlands, the amount of potential for water is enormous, is really enormous. And this wetland constitutes only about 4.5% of the country's geographical area. And therefore, for us, for humankind, especially the population in India, it is extremely important that we conserve the wetlands and manage them in such a manner that we can always be free of worries about water.
Dhanauri is home to over 150 Sarus Cranes. Perhaps the only roosting site where such a large number can be seen anywhere in the world. This marvelous display of emotions by Sarus Cranes is rather rare in birds. From March till the monsoons arrive, the gathering at roost is fun and also a place for young adults to find their new soulmates and also the time for courtship dances. No doubt, Sarus is the state bird of Uttar Pradesh. Nearly 40 nests have been seen since 2014 within this wetland itself, and many in nearby areas. The cranes help farmers by getting rid of the snakes and pests. For the people of India, the Sarus Cranes hold a very, very special place, because it is said that the epic Ramayana got written because of the Sarus Crane. The great epic Ramayana was written in a metrical form by the poet Valmiki, who felt great pain at the killing of one of the Saruses by a hunter. He cursed him instantaneously in a verse form, and that became the metrical system of poetry in India. Even otherwise, the Sarus Crane, being the tallest flying bird across the globe and has a population of just about 8,000 remaining, and this population is declining as well. Come August, the nesting begins. Till September, the prospective parents build their home with reeds, which is about 2 by 2 meters. The nests are made often in the shallow and marshy areas of the wetlands, and also in paddy fields. Over the last 5 years since discovering Dhanauri, I have been lucky to see the complete life cycle of cranes, except for the actual mating sequence. After a month of waiting, life slowly unfolds to a new beginning. Based on my records of last 5 years, the Sarus Cranes lay 2 eggs in the nest at an interval of about 48 hours. The incubation period is about 26 to 36 days. And when there is a change of guard for incubation, that is the change of duty, there is normally a soul-stirring dance by the parents of Sarus. Both the parents take turns to incubate the eggs. Closely guarded by the mother, within a couple of hours, our little junior can balance himself upright. The second hatchling appears after about 48 hours. But for the wild, it is all about survival of the fittest. Brotherly love is not so common to find than fratricide. By eliminating the weakling, any kind of competition for food is also taken care of. Like most birds, the chicks can not only walk when 2 days old, but a little known fact is that they are also very good swimmers. The chicks are now in their so-called early teens, growing from 6 to 8 inches at birth to almost 2 meters in 3 months. Catching a snake for a snack is a treat worthwhile for them and worth watching for the spectators. They will follow their parents till they achieve maturity. And then the parents are ready to breed again. But their numbers are slowly dwindling due to the loss of habitat. Sarus has been placed in the vulnerable category by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, primarily because of the loss of habitat and therefore serious decline in the numbers. The population at the moment is pegged at just about 8,000 in India. Thus, tagged with the vulnerable status of Sarus Cranes, it is essential that Dhanauri be protected as not only a wetland but also as a Sarus Sanctuary. Dhanauri is not just a place for Sarus Sanctuary, but also deserves to be declared as a Ramsar wetland. Nothing can be better than the dance of the national bird, the Indian peacock. It is perhaps among the most beautiful of birds, especially when it has extended all its feathers to entice the female and dances to various tunes. Dhanauri is full of over 50,000 birds during the migratory season beginning from September and ending in April. A little over 100 species of waterfowl can be seen at Dhanauri during the season. These comprise of the ducks, the geese, the waders, and a large number of birds of prey. The birds of prey cannot be far behind when such a large population of their prey is available at Dhanauri. For a wetland with waterfall to be recognized as a Ramsar's wetland of international importance, the Dhanauri wetland meets the full criteria. First, there are about 50,000 birds to be seen every year that we have recorded over the last 5 years. Whereas the criteria for this number is just about 20,000 as laid down by the Ramsar Convention. Dhanauri hosts over 30 species of birds of prey out of a total of 100 seen in India. Egyptian vultures, an endangered species and almost on the brink of extinction from India, are almost always present at Dhanauri. They can often be found feeding on a turtle. Here are a couple indulging in grooming and then finding a turtle and then going about their business of finishing it. Common kestrels are a delight to watch through the season. Just a couple of males, but any number of females can be seen during the season. The second criteria for recognition as a Ramsar wetland is the presence of about 1% of the biogeographical population of one particular species. Here at Dhanauri Wetlands, we have recorded over the last 5 years the presence of anywhere between 140 to 150 Sarus Cranes at the roost time, late in the evening and early morning. It is a super sight when a raptor is on the hunt and the birds take evasive action by taking off. Flutter of 50 to 100,000 wings is a joy to hear and behold. Then, on the ground, one can sometimes see some action between an eagle and a snake. Many species of snakes have been spotted here at Dhanauri. Waterfall make the real numbers. It is indeed a great fun to watch thousands of coots, shrubs, blacktail, godwits, pintail, shovelers, and many others in smaller numbers. What a pleasure it is to see bar-headed and grey-lag geese with their cacophony every morning and evening and whenever they take off to air. Bar-headed geese perhaps have the strongest heart among all the birds in the world. It is amazing to see them flying at 30,000 feet over the Mount Everest, where there is hardly any oxygen available. Their hearts beat at about 400 times a minute. At the same time, the resident ducks and the smallest goose, cotton pygmy goose, is not to be forgotten. Weavers are probably the best architects in the world. Their nests cannot be entered by even slimy characters like snakes, and these nests cannot be blown away among the strongest of storms. It had been a great pleasure to see the great bittern visit Dhanauri Wetlands in 2016 and 17. It was a huge attraction, and any number of birders from all over the country and some from abroad visited just to have a look at the great bittern walking out into the open when it is known to be an extremely skulky bird and seldom shows itself out in the open. Common stone chat is among the smallest and perhaps the first of the migratory terrestrial birds to arrive. Black drongos are almost always present and are perhaps among the most ignored birds, except when the two of them sit together and start a debate like they are debating on Indian TV channels. Pied cuckoos and common hawk cuckoos. They are the harbingers of monsoon, and it is well known, especially in Mumbai, that the monsoons are not far behind once a pied cuckoo has been spotted. The pied cuckoo travels all the way from East Africa riding the monsoon currents. 16th May 2019 became a day for which the birders actually live. I was witness to such a wonderful sight of the parent taking its chicks under its wings and protecting them from the inclement weather. Perhaps among the most colorful and beautiful migratory species, northern lapwing is a most sought-after bird at Dhanauri, as also anywhere else. Look at the colors and the luminescence. It needs good light and pollution-free atmosphere. Wetlands act as carbon sinks to keep the environment pollution-free. Jacanas, both bronze-winged and pheasant-tailed, are yet another very attractive among of the birds. A typical TDH, tall, dark and handsome bird, the spotted redshank, that comes as brown and goes off after assuming dark, almost black breeding colors before heading home. Great to see thousands of waders, with a large majority being made up by ruffs and black-tailed godwits, a near-threatened species. Soon as February-March arrives, Kentish flowers can be seen in the outer areas of the marshy parts of the wetland that start drying up a bit. Among the large waders present at Dhanauri Wetlands are the 4 species of storks, 3 species of cranes, 3 species of ibises, and of course egrets, spoonbills and herons in unlimited numbers. Spoonbills and storks have their own system of finding their prey. They stir the muddy waters and find what they are looking for. Black-necked stork is an endangered species and perhaps one of the most difficult birds whose beauty is not very easy to capture on cellulite. The pond herons are almost always present throughout the 365 days. They are very silent, very still, and then just go about and spear the prey. They are a joy to behold when they are in their prime breeding colors. Wetlands are great hunting grounds for raptors or birds of prey. Wetlands provide a variety of prey for different species of raptors. Dhanauri is indeed a great wetland, where on several different days during the migratory season from September to March, one can spot as many as 16 species, as I did one fine day of December 2016. On raptor migration routes, say in Thailand, 30 to 35 species are spotted on a single day when the raptors are migrating in thousands. The raptors lord over the skies, and among them is the fastest flying bird, peregrine falcon and Barbary falcon. These are at the top of my list. The most exhilarating experience with a Barbary falcon was on 25th of January 2015. It came in, it perched on the ground and then took off. As I was lamenting that I have missed out something very nice to see, it came back with an Asian pied starling as its prey and perched right in front of me. And then it was a sight to see. The starling was still alive, still struggling, but the Barbary falcon went about its way. Brahmani kites are indeed a joy to behold, especially as they are both hunters as well as scavengers. It's a great sight to see them hunting, picking up the prey and then eating it while flying in flight. Despite being recognized as an important birding area, it had been a struggle and a huge campaign to save not only Dhanauri Wetland but all wetlands across the country. Despite this huge struggle, the protection remains available only on paper. In spirit, the Government of India and states have not made any effort whatsoever to initiate action for protection. Once the decision was made that we need to save Dhanauri Wetlands and also other wetlands across the country, then the first step essentially required talking to the concerned officials whether they really understand what is involved in saving such beautiful places. The letters were written, personal interviews were done with them, presentations made, but unfortunately to no avail whatsoever. Therefore, I was left with no other option but to approach the National Green Tribunal.
Sometimes I find that the NGT passes orders but doesn't follow up on the action. So it was easy to get the order, but to get them to pin the state of UP to actually implement the order became extremely difficult.
This particular case about wetlands, of course, we started doing because Mr. Anand Arya, who's a very, very keen birder, came to us and he was very keen on protecting wetlands. Till date, they have not identified any wetlands which need protection. So that is what the writ petition was about. So we got an interim order, which was a very, very important interim order, saying that the 2 lakh and odd wetlands which are 2.5 hectares and above, which have been mapped by satellite imagery, those have to be protected.
After persistent follow-up, since September 2014, the Ministry of Environment, Government of India, has very recently asked the state of Uttar Pradesh to submit a proposal for declaring Dhanauri Wetlands as a Sarus Sanctuary and a Ramsar site. We have to reach the decision makers, such as the Prime Minister of India, the Chief Minister of various states, and also to the media to act as our spokesperson, to act as a pressure point such that not only Dhanauri wetland is saved, but all the remaining 757,000 wetlands are also saved. Please join me in my campaign and crusade to save Dhanauri Wetlands, not only as a wetland, but also as a Ramsar site, but also as a sanctuary for Sarus Cranes.